Hi everyone, today we're gonna talk about the importance of clean code. If you wanna get help in becoming a coder this year, check out www.doorscodingschool.com www.doorscodingschool.com. So, what is clean code in the first place? Clean code is code that is very easy to read. The stereotype we have of coders is that they write complicated code that is really hard to understand. That is often the case, but you should avoid writing cryptic code as much as possible. I just finished reading a book which I recommend to everyone called Don't Make Me Think. This book is about user experience, so it has nothing to do about coding itself, but the premise is useful not only to coders but to anyone in any profession. That's why I recommend it to everyone. It's that when you build a website, or when you build anything for that matter, when you build a business, when you build processes in a business, when you build an app, when you build anything that requires design, your goal as a designer is to make people think the least amount possible. What does that mean? So in the book he talks about a scissor. A scissor is really easy to understand how to do it, right? You have the two holes, you insert the fingers in the two holes. One hole is larger, so you know it's for your thumbs. The other one is smaller for your thumbs. The larger ones are for the other fingers. The format of the scissor helps you very easily understand what's the purpose of the scissor. So it's a very easy to understand machine. Now you've probably seen like coffee machines or fridges. You try everything, it's really hard to understand how it works. The argument of the book is that it's not your fault. The designers of those machines made you think too much. Hence, it's a bad design. The same thing goes along with code. If you look at some code and it doesn't make sense at all to you, and obviously you know how to code, assuming you know how to code, it's not your fault. It's the designer's fault. And I think this is a very powerful mindset, because people in coding often they want to show how smart they are, so they make things complicated, when actually you have to think that this is a collaborative effort. When you're coding with other people. You want them to understand what you did. You want them to understand without even having to ask you, because when they ask you, when they are confused about what you've written, you're wasting the company's money, because you need to go back and forth. You need to explain to them what you did, why you did it. Now, how can you make your code clean? There are a lot of techniques to make your code clean. This is something we cover in Doors Coding School coaching program. But one thing that makes your code cleaner right away, these two techniques will make your code cleaner than most of programmers, which is giving very good variable names. So instead of saying just something like x equals 3, I equals 4, give a name to the variable that makes sense. So for example, say something like coins, or amount of coins changed, or let's say it's a variable that keeps track of fruits in a supermarket. Call it fruits. When you call something a variable fruits and not x, fruits is already describing, documenting what's the purpose of the program. We use CS50 in a course. CS50 is a Harvard course, and we use that course for our students, and there is a problem over there called credit, which is basically validating credit card using Python and C. And if you make the variable names really well written, even someone who has never coded before, they can understand your program 100%. Whereas a lot of implementations, it's really hard to understand. You have to spend a lot of time understanding what the person was trying to do. So tip number 1 is to make your code, your variable names, easy to understand. So describing what that variable is doing. The second tip is just splitting your code into smaller units. The way you can do that is through something called a function. So when you have a function, it's like a Lego module. You can do, it's like a remote control. If you press a button, it does one thing. If you press another button, it does another thing. Instead of just having one big button that does 10 different things, you have one button for each thing you want to do in your code. And the name of the function really helps you understand as well. In this credit card validation, we have a function called check if it's an Amex card, check if Visa card, check if MasterCard card. So that way, like, even if you don't know how to code, if there is something called check MasterCard, you know that is checking something in a MasterCard card or a Visa card. So that way I'm describing to people what I'm trying to do. So clean code is a key skill in, I think, a professional coder's toolbox. This is something I emphasize a lot with my coaching clients, and I really recommend you read more about that after you're done learning how to code, or as you're learning how to code. There is a really good book called Clean Code, and there is a free website called Refactoring Guru, which is the one that I like the most, that also goes through a lot of those techniques. So that's it. So be aware that clean code is very important, even as important as learning the logic. And I hope to see you guys in the next podcast. Bye bye.